Okay. Now I think you see it.
Yes, we see it.
Okay. And slideshow. And this should work now. Yeah, there we go. Okay. And I'm adding on here Dave Harold and Ted Blank because they really know, I think, more about this event than I do. They've done a lot of work on it. And a lot of the slides are from Dave Harold that I'm showing or computed with occults with the latest data set, which I got from Steve Preston's site, but it seems to be the latest thing. Anyway, the important question is what we'll be seeing, because the problem is that the asteroid Leona and Betelgeuse have almost the same angular size. We're probably not going to have a total occultation like we usually get. It's not going to just be a one-off event, but it'll be over a period of a dozen more seconds. The star will fade, decrease in brightness as more and more of the star is covered by parts of the asteroid, and then we'll come back. And these show some typical light curves showing how you could have drops of only a little more than 50% drop to as much as a full occultation very briefly. It's all going to depend upon the relative sizes of the objects. And this shows two of those sample light curves again, one computed with a diameter of 50 kilometers and the other with a diameter for Leona of 61 kilometers, using our best guess of what Betelgeuse orbit size is, but that's uncertain too, and it seems to vary some. So anyway, the size and shape of both objects are uncertain. This shows sphere images of Betelgeuse, just taken from Wikipedia, showing how in 2019 it changed from sort of a regular shape to this sort of half shaded thing. They think some big, large dust cloud might have passed over the star, causing it to fade by about a full magnitude. Anyway, that generated a lot of interest to see that star fainter than usual, but it wasn't a super unusual event, but people say, oh, it's going to supernova. But anyway, it's definitely, this Leona occultation provides an unprecedented opportunity. Betelgeuse is not very close to the ecliptic, so it doesn't get occulted regularly by asteroids. So it's not, we've had 4 occultations of stars by Regulus, by asteroid occultations of Regulus by asteroids, each one of them observed to some extent, except for Origone, and but then this shows now the problem with Origone. It has a very long rotation period of about 430 hours, so 8 or 9 days or something. So this shows different light curve attempts and fittings. Because of the long rotation period, it really complicates the determination of the size and shape. You can't get good. Please, everyone, mute your mic. Ken, please, thank you. Anyway, we really want to. We can't do too much with Betelgeuse, although there will be some efforts to try to observe it with interferometers and so forth to improve what we can of it. We can do much better with if we can get some occultations of by Leona of other stars before December 12th. And we really need to do that with multiple stations to best take advantage of the unique opportunity. So please, please, if an event's near you, travel to it to observe it and try to organize with a cult watcher or whatever. Anyway, this shows the Betelgeuse occultation, the best currently used using the UBSC positional data for Betelgeuse and the latest number 60 horizons orbit for Leona, showing the worldwide path passing over southernmost part of Florida, southernmost part of Iberia, and across southern Europe and part of Central Asia. So I'll just go with some zoomed in views from occult of the different areas. Here's Mexico and Florida. Mexico, such a bright star, could probably be observed from their coast, but it's quite very low altitude there, just a few degrees, but it should be possible to maybe see something. And then I show a better view of the path over Mexico, showing more what you can expect. The blue lines are the northern and southern limits of the annular eclipse, and of the partial eclipse. The annular eclipse zone is much narrower, showing between the two maroon lines or purple lines, whatever you call them, and the green being the center line near Hialeah over southernmost part of the Everglades. But the red lines are the 1 sigma errors. The errors are quite small because the star's position has been observed with interferometers and other means to get a pretty good handle of it. But it's not Gaia data. So true errors might be a little larger. And of course, we have error in the ephemeris. The ephemeris is probably largely determined by Gaia observations of Leona. We really don't have any or much previous observations of occultations in the past by that asteroid. We really need the new ones. Anyway, showing the path farther east, it shows just a bird's eye view of it across Eurasia. Showing with Dave Harold's changes to occult, where he shows the light curve and the zone of partial eclipse and annularity. So to show the whole width where something might happen, where you'll get some dimming. And this shows it in more detail across Iberia and Sardinia. Those will probably be great places to try it, but the weather can be uncertain in December. All these areas can have bad weather, so we hope observers in all these areas try it. Don't know who will have the good skies. Goes over the southernmost part of Italy, interestingly, Costantino traveled to the same area where this path actually crosses the path where the Rhodope occultation of Regulus occurred, which he observed. Anyway, a nice path over northern Greece, so I hope the team from Thessalonica can observe it. And it goes over northern Turkey, a nice, good area there. And there is actually at least one observer from Japan is planning to observe it from north of Ankara, somewhere, I guess, in this area. Anyway, and then this shows the path farther east, going across Central Asia. And I point out that the path goes right over Baku, the capital of Azerbaijan, which is a large city, about over 1 million people. And I point out that the International Astronautical Society is going to be meeting there. It's the largest worldwide aerospace meeting of the year. It's going to be meeting there on October 2nd to 6th. So I hope, maybe some people traveling there who know about the Leona occultation can spread the word to them. Maybe they can do some local efforts. Anyway, this just shows this list of special main belt asteroid occultations that I showed before. Now, there's only one occultation by Leona in it on August 27th. So we need to make a special effort to try to observe that one. It's the only one, good one in North America. And this, you can get this from the website given at the bottom there, on the IOTA main belt special page. And this shows the event underlined in the table. This shows that event on the occult page, the occult page for the event. So it's a nice early event relative to, we'd have a few months before the December. So if we can get that, it would be great. And then there's another great opportunity on September 13th with a brighter star. This one was, where's the previous? Let's see now. Yeah, this one is 13.8, so it's a fairly faint star. So the small systems, you need larger telescopes to do a good job on this. And it's only 2.2 second duration. To try to get shape information, we'll want good timing accuracy too. Anyway, this is a brighter star, 11.9 to almost 2 magnitudes brighter. So we hope that the observers in Portugal and Spain can make a big effort to record this. The path also goes over Tunis, Tunisia. I don't know if the people in Algeria, they've done a few occultations, but I've heard they haven't been that active. They were very active in 2019, but they might have lost some funding, and they say it's hard to cross even different provinces of their own country, let alone crossing an international border. But possibly some Italians could go get it in southern Sicily, starting to get a little bit of twilight. And farther east, the twilight gets too strong as it goes over Crete, about less than 5 degrees sun less than 5 degrees below the horizon there. So really, Iberia is our best hope for that. And you can get the special main belt site here. You can go there and click on the worldwide main belt events to magnitude 14 to download the XML file, the special XML file, and then you can use occult to calculate Leona occultations possibilities for your area, observatory and region. So anyway, this occultation is such a bright star and everything. It might be recorded with DSLR cameras and video mode. Recording the smartphones probably won't do the job very well. We've had trouble with them in the past, but DSLR cameras, can. And but they should record a smartphone timing app display before and after to get good time calibration. Ted Blank was planning to do things like that for the Origone occultation, and he had some good ideas about this that he talked about at the round robin meeting that we had a few weeks ago with IOTA ES. Anyway, so these are gradual events, on-off timings, like with Origone Regulus won't work. So it's not suitable, I think, for a large public campaign. It's such a narrow path where you'll really see it noticeable. Certainly, but it is good for astronomy clubs and for advanced high school students and college students. So they are encouraged to try to make these observations. And as I said, you can get more information about all these events from our special page. And we can discuss this further at the IOTA ES roundtable that's going to be held, and I showed it, we covered it up here, but it's, I think it's August 4th. Yeah, yes. And it's at 18 hours UT or 2 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time in the US. There's an article about it in journal, the latest journal of occultation astronomy, pages 18 and 19. Anyway, so that's all I had. So I'll open it up for questions. Dave and Ted, do you have any comments you want to add to what I said?
There is
David,
one question on the chat.
yeah, there's a question on the chat
Oh, okay.
from Oliver.
Oh, okay. Whoops. Where's my Zoom? Yeah. Bring these back and then I can see the chat. Okay. Any guess how much larger are the 1 sigma limits shown in the prediction with the data we have for Alpha Orionis today? Now that's a question for the experts. I just take the data that Steve Preston has collected and Dave Harold. I think that they are pretty sure that they're reasonable 1 sigma errors, but I think you have to be prepared for, like any occultation, for at least a 2 sigma shift and probably for a 3 sigma for something like this where there are unknown gotchas, unknown systematic errors that might not have been properly taken into account in this unusual data sets that we're having to use for these. But the best thing to reduce the errors to get more observations, especially of the Leona occultations. So I would just say try to cover up to a 3 sigma error for planning to position observers. And so you have both the wide, partial occultation zone plus the 3 sigma error. So it's starting to add up. Okay, any other questions or comments?
Yes, hi, this is Daniel Fischer from Germany. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you fine.
Great. I'm writing for a German astronomy magazine that's targeted towards experienced amateur astronomers, but very few have a good background in occultation astronomy. On the other hand, they love to travel to other countries to do some crazy observations. Do you think that experienced amateurs without much background in occultations could do something useful with this Betelgeuse occultation? And where should they learn more? What exactly they should do? And what equipment to bring?
Okay, well, that's what I hope. We should really set up a web page like we did for the origami occultation. I mean,
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be quite so spiffy because it's targeted to people who kind of know how to go through these things. I mean, as I have my own page where you can, get the basic files and things. But we need a dedicated page that talk about the techniques of observing it with DSLR cameras or any telephoto lens or any systems or small telescopes.
David, if we assume this question isn't just about Leona, this would be other events as well. Is that correct?
It's especially about the Betelgeuse. I'm really interested in.
Okay.
I'm just trying to get a feeling if it makes sense or not, no sense to encourage people to travel there with light equipment and then do something useful with this occultation, because we know so little what will actually happen. So how do you prepare for this?
Right. Well, just make a star chart showing how to find Betelgeuse. I think a lot of people can already do that.
Now there is a group, the IODES they have some work they're doing to try to make sure they understand how to observe this and gather useful data. Is that correct? And I think Ted has been following some of this. Did you comment on that, Ted? And Oliver, you may know also what's being tracked about the Leona regular Betelgeuse event. Because one of the challenges in that is trying to figure out how we gather good data when it sounds like the most interesting data is going to be gathered through good photometry rather than just timing analysis. But I'm not up on that. So maybe Ted and or Oliver might be better informed on that question.
I'll leave it to Oliver to talk about the possibility of astrometry. I'll just mention that for the 2014 event for Erigone Regulus, we had a combination of a highly accurate prediction and an extremely large magnitude drop. And so we felt it was worth making a year-long effort to invite the public to observe it, even if they were doing so without any timing, because there have been so many announcements of events like supermoons, which turn out to be a huge disappointment for people. Here we had a guaranteed event, which was going to at least show folks, something happening in real time in the sky with high probability. And of course, the entire path was clouded out by a frontal storm that moved through all the way from Florida, all the way up to Montreal at the same time on the same day. That couldn't have been worse luck. But in this case, it sounds like we have almost the opposite situation, as David was saying. We have a highly uncertain path and a very likely limited or very small magnitude drop. Although if Leona turns out to be bigger than expected, and we get a magnitude drop that might be 80% or so, and it could be visible in binoculars or a small telescope, then that might be worth suggesting to people that there's only one uncertainty here, and that's the position on the ground. So if you want to go out and observe this event, you might or might not see something, but if you're in the right place, you'll definitely see something, and we would be able to report to the public afterwards that some people actually did see it. So we weren't pulling your chain like happens so often with the meteorologists saying, go out and see the supermoon. So I'm waiting for the results of the Leona occultation, hopefully multiple chords. I hope it's much bigger than we thought it was. And if that turns out to be the case and we get some good astrometry, then we can think about sharing this with the general public. However, anything to do with amateurs, experienced amateurs, or high school students or astronomy club members, that's all quite legitimate because they understand the concept of, not a sure thing. That's really all I'll say about that.
Yeah, thanks.
Yes,
Yeah.
we have two groups starting to organize it. One is Claudia Costa in Italy. He is preparing this occultation, and the other one is in Spain. It's a preparation by Karl Schnabel. And we all wait for this occultation in September, which will be very important for us to decide how much we should get the public involved in this occultation. If the asteroid is larger than expected and we will get a nice drop, then it would be good to invite many people as possible.
Yeah, I think we should leave it at concentrating on the astronomy clubs and the small colleges near the path. The high schools and small colleges, try to, inform them of the event that they can make useful observations with DSLR cameras, which are quite common. If they have other video systems with their own telescopes, all the better, or other CCD camera systems. But whatever they can do would be useful if we can make an organized effort to get people stationed across the path at intervals of 1 or 2 kilometers spread over the entire uncertainty zone, width of the path and uncertainty zone. If we can get light curves from each of those people, it would be a valuable, unique data set, on the star that we couldn't, say that we couldn't capture any other way. So I think, setting the resources up to at least do that, and if we find out later that the event also, I would downplay the part about the visibility to the public, but there are going to be reporters who are going to ask us anyway, who are going to try to publicize the event. We could say, yeah, it may or may not, but there's a big uncertainty, and leave it at that until we get more information, and not make a concerted effort to get them like we did for Origone in 2014. But all of the students that we can mobilize beforehand in the regions, and the amateur astronomers who are in the regions or traveling there, those will all be great resources for interacting with other people in the local press and everything about the event. And so I hope some people can go to that IAC meeting in Baku and tell them about it too. So I have to, once we have a website set up, we can point people and start sending emails and stuff about this and so forth. But I'm going to be completely tied up with other things until at least the end of September, so I won't be able to do very much on it myself. I'll, chat, and send things as we can.
Okay, well,
by email and so forth.
And I think the mailing lists, particularly of IOTA ES, are going to be full of messages about these efforts, and that's a good place to refer people to so they can monitor the developments. I think we need to move on, and all I've got to say about moving on is now for something completely different. Let's see if I can get my things working here.